So Esther sat to meditate again, and she quieted her mind, which meant she had no thought, and she was experiencing feelings of bliss and some movement. In other words, we were projecting our intention for motion in her body, and she was in what would appear to be at an unconscious state, just translating the movement and enjoying the sensation of the movement. Just soft, gentle movement, mostly in her neck and head, some in her back, muscles in her arms. In other words, we were moving her physical apparatus, and she was enjoying the process of it. And after about 15 minutes of that kind of quieted mind, it was nearly time for her timer to go off. She sets it for 20 and usually comes out of meditation somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. And so as she was just about to come out of meditation, a thought occurred to her. A very powerful and wonderful feeling thought. Not the kind of thought that you would expect from a spiritual leader. She thought, I would really like to move the furniture around in this room. Now, this is what we want you to understand. These thoughts of connection with your source are going to lead you to inspired experience about things that matter to you. And so that thought felt so good to her that when she came out of meditation, she could hardly wait to begin the process of it. So she had a few things that she intended to do that day, but the first thing she did was get on the internet and find some people who could come and help her move furniture. And it was really, really fun. There were a lot of them. And she zeroed in on 2 men in a truck, and she called them and she said, I would like 2 men to come. I don't need their truck unless they need their truck to get here, but I just need 2 men to come because I'm not going to move anything away from my house. I just want to move some things around in the house. Now, here's what we want you to understand about this. Before that day of that meditation where she got that thought, the day before that, when she came out of meditation, she had an idea. Oh, I think I will try to understand the music system in this house. Now, this is a house that she and Jerry have purchased a long, long time ago. And Jerry understood the musical system in this house. He was always the one that set the music into the gardens and so forth. Esther didn't really know what was going on with it. It was just something that he always did, and she did not know what buttons made what happen. It's not exactly an intuitive system. It's a very convoluted system. But she came out of meditation thinking, I'll bet I can make this music go. And the thought was so powerful. This was the day before the 2 men in a truck day. This was the great idea from God that came out of meditation that day. So she sat, fiddled with buttons, discovered that she could make music play in the courtyards and in the gardens and in every room in the house. She discovered how she could make it loud. She discovered how she could find any music genre imaginable. And so she sat there for quite a bit of time that day and played a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And she discovered a station that thrilled her. She had not listened to it before. It was rap. So interesting what they had to say. And so interesting the way they said it. And so interesting the way the rhythm called for it. It was intoxicating to her. She was mesmerized by it and found herself wanting to write some rap. So now it's the next day, and now her interest is in moving furniture, and she's called 2 men in a truck. And so that afternoon, 2 men showed up, and they were delightful, and they moved this over there and this over there and that 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 over there, that over there, and then they moved that back and that back and that back and that back. It was really fun to see how things looked in different places, and much of it returned to where it had been, but it was really a lot of fun moving these things around as human beings like to do. And so then in the process of all this fun, these young boys are wanting to know what Esther does. She has nice things, and she has a lot of them, but mostly what they noticed is how playful she was and how silly she is and how interesting it was to watch someone just move things around for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. And so one of them said to her, it's a beautiful day. And Esther said, it really is. And he said, but I'm leaving. And Esther said, where are you going? And he said, I'm going back to Alabama. And Esther said, why? And he said, because I'm a rapper. And because I have some things that are happening back there that I can't seem to get to happen out here. So I'm going to go to where my rap is happening. And Esther said, hold on a minute. So she goes into the other room, pushes some buttons, and all of a sudden, rap. Famous rap. All through the gardens, all through the rooms, all through the everywhere, loud. The neighbors can hear it. Everyone can hear it. And his eyes are very, very big. And he says, what do you do? And Esther said, I'm a teacher. And he said, what do you teach? And Esther said, rap. And then she said, no, she says, really, it's relatively new to me, like yesterday. But now they have this experience going, and now he's expressing his desires, his hopes, his wishes. And Esther's got a cabinet full of books that explain all of that. And so now they have this relationship. Now she's signing books for him. Now she's handing CDs to him. Now he's on top of the world. In fact, she got a text from him yesterday about how thrilled he is with what he is already knowing that he knew, and now he knows why he knows what he knows. One of the most exhilarating experiences. Now, what we're saying to you is that's how thoughts turn to things. You get into the receiving mode, which leads you to a thought that you wouldn't think has any relationship to anything that is important to you. But there's nothing more important to Esther than to be in a situation with someone who has something that they want to understand that the sources within her do understand. In other words, nothing is more meaningful, nothing is more satisfying to Esther than a moment like that. And she has come to accept that sometimes you have to play with the music system, and sometimes you have to listen to something that's not what you would usually listen to in order to discover the exhilaration of something that you didn't know you were even looking for, which leads you the next day to want to move furniture around. Why? Because the person who has the most to gain from you on the subject that is most important to you is lurking in the area, and the path of least resistance for you and him to be together is for you to want to move your furniture around. Now, humans want to say, Abraham, why didn't you just tell Esther he was looking for her and give her his number? And we say, we would, but Esther wasn't in the receiving mode of the telephone number. And beside that, Esther wants to have the fun along the way, don't you? Don't you want to have the fun along the way? Don't you want it to be natural unfolding? Nothing is more annoying than for one of you to get into the hot seat and express some deep desire, and then someone who feels that they have the answer to your desire to now seek you out because they heard what you said here. That's not law of attraction. That's listening and going and then shoving it down your throat. We want law of attraction to work for you in the way law of attraction works for you. And frankly, that's the only way that you will really accept it. That is the path of least resistance for you. You want these natural unfoldings of things. And most important, you've got to be ready to be ready. So hear it. Esther was ready to play the music. Oh, and that has satisfied her in so many ways. The music that she's been playing through her gardens and through her rooms, that was not just only for that. It has broadened into so much more satisfaction in so many ways. But it was a big piece of something that really mattered. And then moving the furniture around, the furniture was fine where it was. It's a little better now, but that's not the whole point. The whole point of it was it led to a lifetime friendship with someone who is an avid seeker of something that Esther holds a lot of the keys to. Well, this is how it is for you. You see, your inner being knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you want. And your inner being knows what your path of least resistance to it is. You keep saying, inner being, don't show me my path of least resistance. Show me the speediest path to the manifestation of what I want, because I want to see it and hear it and smell it and taste it, touch it. And frankly, I want it now. I want it right now. And we say, you think you do. And you say, no, I know I do. I want it now. I want it now. And we say, you think you do. And you say, no, I'm sure of it. I'm sure I want it now. And we say, you can't have it now, all right? You got to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. And if you will accept that you're ready for what you're ready for, and if you've decided to find satisfaction for what you are ready for, then the satisfaction will just keep coming to you, and you will be living this joyful journey, and you will constantly be on the brink of the final unfolding into the manifestation that you want.